morning and welcome to another edition of Brewin on Broad Street. I'm Steve Snyder, entrepreneur in residence at Gesmer Updegrove, and I'm here with my good friend Mike Schumann. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, it is a treat because you are the best dressed man in Boston, and so I get to see the exciting attire that you always wear. I aspire to be you.
Thank you. I would limit it to that, Steve. I think limit it to that.
Well, this is a treat. We have known each other for many years.
About 14, yeah.
And during those years, you have created such a fabulous track record of success.
Yeah.
Working with entrepreneurs, helping them to drive revenue.
That's right.
And your company is called Concivi.
Yes, Concivi Growth.
Concivi Growth. And your focus is acting as a fractional chief revenue officer.
That's right. Really helping these companies turn on the money printing machine to build that engine of predictable, scalable revenue.
You were telling me that you love to play golf.
Yes.
One of your favorite hobbies.
Yes.
And when I think about processes and systems to put into place to help people start to think about driving growth, building that machine to drive growth, you think about it in terms of playing golf as well.
I do. You know, I've been labeled an emotional support golfer, and when I've played with strangers or people who are picking up the game, they seem to enjoy playing with me and want to play again because I think I keep it light, I keep it relaxed, but really transfer that confidence that, hey, look, you can actually pull this off. You can do this. There's nothing to worry about. It's just a matter of execution. And here's how we're going to approach this hole. And here's where we want to find opportunity. Here's where we're going to avoid some trouble. And we're going to mitigate risk. And we're going to avoid the big mistakes. And it's the same with generating revenue and growing a revenue stream as playing a golf hole effectively.
So when you meet an entrepreneur for the first time, an entrepreneur in an early stage company, what advice and guidance do you give them to have them start thinking about the importance of revenue growth?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions I typically ask, and it oftentimes gets entrepreneurs thinking. And those two questions are, what problem do you solve, and for whom do you solve it? And when an entrepreneur struggles with that, they're going to run into challenges with messaging, targeting, filling that top of the funnel, but also getting deals to convert. But just starting there with those two very basic questions, you can come to a conclusion about how well equipped you are to go to market.
Fabulous questions to ask.
Yeah.
Really the critical questions
Sure.
to ask. So you start to work with entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process that you go through with them?
Yeah, it usually starts with an understanding of what is the current state. Something, oftentimes investors will tap me on the shoulder and introduce me to a CEO because something isn't going quite right. Something has kind of fallen off or gone wrong. Or they recognize that the team that's there doesn't have the ability or the know-how to really scale an organization. So it's valuable to understand what is going on in the current state. Somewhere in there, there's a mystery to be unlocked. Somewhere in there, something has gone wrong, and it can be fixed. But you have to understand what it is. It could be one or two things. It could be multiple things. It could be complex. But it's understanding the current state and then starting to insert an operating system of revenue. It's where everybody has clarity about what the objectives are, what success looks like, not only for the organization, but right down to their role, maybe right down to what their week looks like. Right? You get to Friday and you feel great about what you accomplished. Well, what is it that the organization needed you to achieve? And I think very few organizations have that level of consistent clarity.
The clarity you have created has allowed you to not only be an investor in companies, but I know that you've also worked with venture capital firms to help them with their portfolio companies.
Yeah, I've presented at many VC portfolio company gatherings and also dove into the portfolio itself. working with specific companies, those gems that they feel really strongly about, but can't figure out, what's going wrong. And candidly, these VCs are very busy. They have a ton of responsibility. They get pulled in a million different directions. And while they do like to work closely with their entrepreneurs, sometimes it's helpful to have a trusted resource that they can plug in and know that, hey, look, they're going to be well taken care of, they're going to be energized, and they're going to start hitting their revenue goals. And if not, we can at least know what really needs to be fixed. Sometimes it's product, sometimes it's channels, sometimes it's pricing. It can be any number of things, but to get to that understanding very quickly, you can at that point start focusing on solving the problems.
So many of the founders that we work with are technologists.
Yeah.
They are technology founders. They are brilliant. They clearly understand they may not be as strong on the revenue generation side or the marketing side or sales side, however you want to frame that. They are great technically to be able to partner with you, with your expertise as a fractional chief revenue officer. To partner with them is spectacular.
Yeah, thanks. They're not really that far off from being able to do what I do. They really understand typically the problem that they're solving because they've been living it. They recognize that it was such a problem that a better solution would create an opportunity. So good start there. They oftentimes know whose problem they're solving sometimes. Okay, that's good. Now, how do you message that? How do you communicate to them in a way that gets them excited about wanting to learn more? And really, how do you really dig in and get underneath the surface of what's going on with them, with those prospects, so that they will pull in additional key stakeholders, so that you have a chance to get traction in the sales cycle and at least rapidly understand, do we have a deal here or not? This isn't hard to do. You just have to know sort of how to do it. And it's just a couple of little adjustments here and there. But oftentimes that knowledge to executing it is there. It just needs to be directed.
A shift away from business just for a moment.
Sure.
Aside from golf, which I know is a passion, you've also told me about skinning. What is skinning?
Yeah. So, well, skinning sort of blends two of my hobbies, which is mountain climbing and skiing. And skinning is a process where you use what they would call synthetic animal skins that enable a ski to slide forward.
A ski to slide,
Yep,
yes.
but not slide back. And essentially what you do with special bindings is you actually, you climb the mountain in your skis and then you ski down, which I was able to tick off one of my 4,000 footers this winter by skinning up Cannon Mountain and skiing down. And it was a lot of fun.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So back to Concivi growth.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur with an early stage company, and I want to contact you. How do I do it?
Through Mike at ConciviGrowth.com.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
And thank you for joining us in this edition of Brewin on Broad Street.